Hello and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. Today we've got a really fun beer review in store for you. This is a hodgepodge of various and sundry beers from throughout these great United States. But today we're going to be getting dark, very dark beers, big dark beers. This is kind of harkening back to our inaugural episode where we did all the barrel-aged stouts. So there are many stouts. 3 of the 4 today are stouts, and 1 is a dark sour ale. So I'm really personally looking forward to this. Of these 4 beers, there's only 1 that I've had. So 3 of them are brand new to me, and I cannot wait to sink my teeth into these. We will be starting with the Prairie Artisan Ales Bomb. This is an Imperial Double Stout, clocks in at 13% ABV. The second beer will be the Lagunitas Dark Swan. This is a dark sour ale. This clocks in at 8.5% ABV. That's the lowest of the bunch. The third is the Prairie Artisan Ales Christmas Bomb. It's a Christmas spice version of their bomb. Again, Imperial Double Stout, same ABV, 13%. Then wrapping up with one of the top beer producers that we're very fortunate here in Tampa to call Tampa native brewer. That is Cigar City Brewing's Café Americano. This is also a double Imperial Stout. This one clocks in at 12%. So I have never had the Cigar City, I've never had the Lagunitas, and I have never had the normal Prairie Artisan Ales Bomb. I've only had the Christmas Bomb, and it was amazing. So I am really excited to get jumping into this one and give the full ratings and get to experience all of these big, gigantic beers. So without further ado, we'll get started right here with the Prairie Artisan Ales Bomb. Okay, jumping right in with number 1, the Prairie Artisan Ales Bomb. This is one of their most well-known beers for sure. I believe they are based in Oklahoma. I could be wrong, but I believe that's correct. They are certainly one of the currently most popular craft brewers out there. They are just getting rave reviews from everybody, and their beers are really high quality and kind of hard to get your hands on depending on where in the country you are. So I'm very fortunate that I can still get this here in Tampa. 13% on this one. Imperial Double Stout, whichever you prefer, Imperial or Double, they are interchangeable. But without further ado, and looking at this really cool looking art on the label, it's really neat, very colorful. Let's get this poured in because honestly I can't wait. So I'm going to do my best to pour this properly. Oh my gosh, that is just so dark and thick. Okay, well, I didn't pour vigorously enough to form a gigantic head, but honestly this is so thick and syrupy, I'm not sure how much of a head you could get on this. I mean, you cannot see through that. The volume of fermentables that must be in this beer and how roasted they are on the edge of being burnt, I mean, I just cannot even imagine. Just looking at it, I'm already excited. I mean, this is what I like to see in a stout. Have mercy. It was just glugging out of that bottle. It was so thick. Wow. Wow. The nose on that thing is absolutely incredible. It smells almost a little spicy. I can't put my finger on it, but you are just smacked in the face with cocoa. It has clearly got chocolate in it. I don't know how much, I don't know what kind, but I have zeroed out there's cocoa in here, possibly coffee as well, and it smells like maybe there's a heat element, possibly dried red chilies. I've brewed with them myself before. It's a really good ingredient, particularly in a dark, thick stout. But yeah, this smells fantastic. It looks amazing. I would say that's beer perfection before I even touch it, but let's give it a sip and see what we think here. Mother of all that's holy. To say that that is delicious, incredible beer is among the biggest understatements I could possibly make. I'm going to do my best to describe to you what I just experienced, and nay, what I am still experiencing. This is bloody incredible. Okay, the aroma, the nose, belies precisely what's in store for you. And as big as the aroma was out of the gate, once you get it in your mouth, it is just so huge. Chocolate abound. Getting hints of coffee, though I don't know if it's brewed with coffee. It could just be the dark roast on the malts they've chosen, but it puts me in mind of a really, really well roasted French roast coffee. Very dark, smoky. The body and the mouthfeel, as you might expect, are absolutely thick and viscous, and it just sticks to the mouth. That's double stout perfection. I'm going to read on the bottle, see if it alludes to anything. Okay. Stout aged on coffee, there you go. Cacao nibs, vanilla beans, and chili peppers. I didn't get the vanilla. I'm not saying it's not in there, but the coffee and the chocolate is very overpowering. And I got it on the nose, the chilies, and you get just a hint on the back. It's a subtle heat, but it's enough to bind in and make just this massive, massive beer. I cannot say enough good things about this. First time I've had it. I've had the Christmas bomb, and I love that. So I expected this was also going to be excellent. The only two beers I've had by Prairie Artisan Ales to date, if everything they brew is up to this caliber, man, I mean, you see it, just grab it. I'll see if I can find some more around here to review. This is insane. I would say this is as close to beer perfection as it gets. Aroma, amazing. Taste, you have to experience it to believe it. The body and the mouthfeel, insane. The finish, so long, and it just lets you pick out everything, and it just lingers. The head, it could be the beer. It could have been just the way I poured it. So we'll see. The appearance, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. This beer, it's just checking all the boxes for me. I absolutely love this. I absolutely love this. We'll come back at the end and get the full rating, but this is going to be rated very highly. I imagine it's going to be one of the beers that's a challenge to outscore, because, man, that is seriously good beer. If you're into stouts, if you're into double stouts, dark beers in general, I cannot recommend this beer enough. Absolutely incredible. I'm looking forward to moving on to number 2, the most different beer in the bunch, the dark sour ale. So we'll get the full rating on this one at the end, but for now, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so for our next beer, we're going to be reviewing the Lagunitas Dark Swan. This is a sour ale, dark sour ale, though. There's been more of these coming out in the last few years. It's not all just light-colored gozas and saisons and farmhouse ales and various Brettanomyces sour brews. A lot of brewers have been using a heavier malt base and more roasted malts, so you get that body and that richness from a classic dark beer, only souring it. This one clocks in at 8.5. I've enjoyed all of these I've tried. This is one I've never had, so I'm actually really excited to see what Lagunitas' take is on a dark sour. Oh, wow, that is lovely. It's this really dark purplish, pinkish, reddish color, almost like a cross between grapes and raspberries were poured in here. It really is a lovely looking beer. Honestly, it's got this pinkish purple head on there. That is a beautiful beer. Appearance, this is a home run. I am already excited about it before I even get in here. The head, I can smell it from here. This has a very pronounced nose. The head is a relatively medium formed bubbles, and they're already starting to dissipate, kind of like I'd expect in a sour. You don't normally get a head that sticks around, but yeah, you can smell whatever fruit they put in there. It does smell strongly of raspberries, maybe some other kind of berry, blueberries. I'm not really sure. Boysenberries possibly. I don't know, but it looks lovely and it smells fruity and it smells sour. I'm excited to jump in. It's very effervescent. Yeah, it's a nice looking beer. So far so good, Lagunitas. Let's see what's up. Ooh, okay. That's got a sour bite. You can definitely get the fruit in there. It's got some funk to it. I don't know if they did indeed use Brettanomyces as their souring agent, but if they did, I would not be surprised, as it can often impart some kind of barnyard funk flavors, and they're definitely present in this beer. But it really goes with the beer and it goes with the style, especially with the dark, rich fruit they put in here. It's not super sour in the grand scheme of things. I've had many that are much more pungently sour. It's got a nice tartness to it too. I'd say overall it's medium sour. Fruit comes through in abundance, and it's definitely got this funk. It hits you right at front. It's balanced at the same time with the tart and the sour characteristics, is where you get the big punch of fruit and that funk, and then it dissipates. And it finishes actually rather like a Saison or classic farmhouse ale, where you get this dry kind of hay, barnyardy, toasty, crusty, just a dry finish to it, which is interesting, being that it's got a dark malt base, it's got all this fruit, and it is soured, that it kind of finishes with that character. It's not dissimilar to how a Brut would finish, a Brut champagne or Brut beer. It's really nice. I enjoy this. First time I've ever had it, and I will definitely be seeing if I can pick up some more of these. If you're a fan of sours, and especially if you like Brettanomyces brewed sours that have kind of that funky undertone, I think you'll really enjoy this. This is a very, very fine example. Bravo, Lagunitas. We'll come through at the end, of course, as always, and get the full review. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move on to our third beer, which is the Prairie Artisan Ales Christmas Bomb. That one is the Christmas spiced version of the bomb that we reviewed first. So we'll move on to that one. It's the one of the bunch I have had. It's been a while, and I'm looking forward to jumping back into it. Okay, so for our next brew, we are moving on to the Prairie Artisan Ales Christmas Bomb. This is a Christmas spiced version of their standard bomb. I have had it before. This is the only one in the lineup that I had prior, and I can tell you I absolutely love it. But I'm very keen to give a very critical mind to what this beer is about, what it brings to the table, and really get it scored on my scale, because when I had it prior, I certainly wasn't thinking about it. I only remember how much I absolutely enjoyed the beer. Prairie Artisan Ales, for my money, one of the top brewers in the country. They just are. They rank up there with my Tampa native brewers, Cigar City. Just fantastic beer, very inventive. Beers coming out of both of these companies, and Prairie Artisan does it right. Without further ado, let's take a peek at this. Firstly, actually, let's look at the bottle art. Let's look at the label. It's very festive. It's a nice purple color. It's got a little winter scene on there. A nice Christmas scene, making a snowman, sledding, got some presents. Yeah, it's lovely bottle art. Really gets you in the mood. You know, it's middle of May when I'm filming this. I'm not sure when I'm going to release this episode, but yeah, it really gets me in the Christmas spirit. Maybe when this video drops, it'll be Christmas in July. We shall see. But nonetheless, interesting bottle art. Let's get this poured in. If my memory serves me correctly, this is going to be equally as viscous and huge as their standard bomb, and just pours like molasses into the glass. That's pitch black, and yeah, I mean, this is just pure liquid smut. This is absolute decadence in a glass. I mean, my God. Honestly, I don't know what else to say about this. Prairie Artisan Ales, the beer game is strong with them, and I stand by that. Yeah, Just like the standard bomb, you cannot see through this. It is black as midnight. I mean, it is just pitch black and thick. I give it a nice, vigorous jostle, very poorly poured down, and still just like the last one, it doesn't really get that great of a head. It's just so thick. Without being on a tap, you're never really gonna get a head. Maybe if I intentionally like cracked the cap right off over the glass, it could glug in there and create a little more agitation to get the head going. But honestly, you're not missing much. You're not missing much with the lack of a head. Let's give the Prairie Christmas bomb a sniff here. Yeah, I mean, this smells just so strong. It's just like the Prairie Artisan Ales standard bomb. I mean, they're going to be so remarkably similar. It's just a Christmas spice version of it. It's the same base beer, I'm pretty sure. I will, in fact, research and post comments on my video to let you know once I definitively find out, but I'm fairly certain that it's their standard bomb recipe just with some added Christmas spices, maybe some cinnamon, some cloves, some nutmeg, but have mercy. Yeah, there's not much else to do here but sip it, and don't be jealous. Oh man. Oh God, it's a religious experience. It really is. It's like if a beer wizard took his magic wand and decided to conjure into existence one of the best beers known in the history of mankind, and then his scribe gets to come over and sample it to make sure it's a fantastic creation. That's what this is. I mean, this is just beer wizardry in a glass. It's the best way I can put it. This is so freaking good. It's almost a challenge to put into words. I don't quite know how to adequately express how incredible this beer is. And I mean that with every bit of my being. It is incredible beer. It is incredible beer. It's incredible beer. That's 3 times I said it. 3 times. Oh man. I wish you could taste this. I'm hoping that my excitement is coming through on camera, just so you know. I am not kidding. I am not playing this up. This beer is that good. It is that good. Christmas bomb indeed. It's like I gave a present to myself, courtesy of the wizards at Prairie Artisan Ales. I mean, this is just tremendously, exquisitely good beer. Upper echelon by a mile of stouts, and certainly of Imperial Stouts. I mean, this is just insanely good beer. The taste is so layered, and the finish is so long, and the body and the mouthfeel are so viscous and thick and big. It's just, this is just heaven in a glass. That's the best way I can put it. I could prattle on about this beer for quite some time, so I'm going to put you out of your misery, and I'm going to cease. But we'll move on to our final beer, and we'll come back and give the rating on this one at the end. But for the final beer, again, I'm really excited because this is my Tampa world-class brewer, Cigar City Brewing. Unbelievably good beers, unbelievably imaginative and inventive, and this is another one I've never had, so I'm very excited. This has been such a fun episode. I hope you've been enjoying it, because God knows I have. Anyway, we'll get this rated at the end, get to the Cigar City. We'll be right back here in a minute. Okay, so for the final beer of this really excellent thus far beer review, we are moving on to the Cigar City Brewing Company's Café Americano. This, like the 2 Prairie Artisan Ales, is Imperial or Double Stout if you prefer. This one clocks in really large, 12% ABV. It's a very large bottle. Standard 375 milliliter, I'm guessing. I can't tell, it doesn't say on there, but it says it's 80 IBUs as well. Let's read just the little blurb on the back of the label. Double stout with coffee and vanilla. Bold and dark traditional Café Americano made with adding water to espresso. This one's made by adding vanilla and their Tampa roasted espresso beans, and it makes a nice double stout base. So Cigar City is one of my absolute favorite breweries in the world. And it's not just because I live in Tampa, it's because their beers are legitimately that good. It is rated in the top 20 breweries in the world, and rightfully so. Just amazing, amazing beer that these guys are making down there. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy poured right into the glass. I expect this is also going to be a really nice dark. Oh, this is equally as thick, if not thicker than the Prairie Artisans that I poured. So it's only going to produce a similar type head. I would really have to slosh it, and I don't want to get too frisky with this. Now, actually, it formed a little bit bigger head than those did. It actually got a little head on there. It's ridiculously tight bubbles, ridiculously tight. Obviously, a nice tan, brownish color to the head. Let's give it a sniff. Give it a slosh around. I can already get a whiff of it fresh out of the glass. Yeah, it smells like a really thick, intense stout that is very coffee dominant. That's the major aroma that I'm getting on the nose. Gets me really excited. I see how thickly it poured, and I've got a really big bottle of this to enjoy. I'm going to jump right in here. We're going to have a sip. The aroma is whetting my appetite. I'm expecting big, bold, dark roasted coffee. So let's see. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, I am a happy, happy man. Every beer that I've sampled in this review has been stellar. Wow, that's a big, big beer. Okay, that is so intense and rich. It is classic Imperial Stout with just heavy, heavy, heavy notes of dark chocolate and just a fistful of coffee in the back. And it really does taste like it's coffee, not that's been aged over coffee beans, like you get. And I love those beers, but this tastes like it was injected with pure espresso, poured straight into the batch. It is so intense and rich. This body and mouthfeel are as thick and viscous as you could possibly imagine. And you could see as I was pouring in a glass just how thick, just like the Prairie Artisans. I mean, this is just thick, viscous beer. Yeah, you really get the vanilla too. It doesn't get lost in this. Wow, it's almost got a slight sweetness to it. And I expected it to be boozy just because it's so heavy. And you add the coffee in there and you add the vanilla. I don't know if they brewed it with whole vanilla bean. I would presume so, and not vanilla extract, which often can add that extra impartition of alcohol in the back from the extracts that they use to create them. But this is just big. This is just big and thick and just bold intensity of flavor. And it really does have this nice sweet finish to it, almost like a vanilla espresso. That's really how it, and because it's cold, British cellar temperature, 55 degrees, it actually reminds me of almost like a vanilla espresso iced coffee. That's the way I can best describe this, because it's meant to be enjoyed cold. Maybe I should have let this warm up higher than British cellar temperature, but that is so rich and decadent. God, this review has been exceedingly fun for me. All of these beers, if you couldn't tell just by my reaction to these, I'm absolutely blown away by every beer in this review. All completely different in their own right. The two Prairie Artisan ales, very similar, though you make the Christmas spice version of the standard bomb, and it's completely different. And the Dark Swan is the only sour in here and the lowest ABV, but it was such a big, bold surprise with all that funk and sour and just a beautiful color. All of these beers are just kicking their A game. I am so excited about this one. I will come back and get the full review at the end, but I promise you it's going to be as equally highly rated as the others in this list. This was a really great selection of random big, bold, dark beers, and all brought something unique and different to the table. This is such a good beer. Man, they're all fantastic. I'm so happy that I got to experience all four of these. We'll go ahead. I'm going to wrap up with my thoughts on Cigar City, and we'll come back and get the full review on all four and wrap up this video. What a great review this episode has been. Okay, so now that we have gone through and sampled all of these sincerely amazing beers, I love them all. We're going to go through and get our full review here, our full rating, and throw them up. So, starting with number one, the Prairie Artisan Ales Bomb. This is one of the 3 Imperial Stouts out of the 4 today. 13% ABV. The aroma, 9 out of 10, almost perfection. I'm just going to give these all in a row because, I mean, literally, it's just fantastic beer. Taste, body, and mouthfeel, all 10 out of 10. I couldn't have asked for better. The finish, just 1 point shy of perfection. I gave it a 9. The head and the retention is really the only category where it didn't come out that great. I actually kind of expected it just because of how thick and viscous it was. Something like that you would really need to be on tap, I suspect, to get any kind of real head form. It was just so thick. To let the carbonation travel up through there to give you any real kind of head, it's just unreasonable. I give that a 2 for the head and retention, so that's its failing if you want to consider it that. After that, perfect 10 out of 10 in every remaining category. Appearance, balance, the feeling intangible, and the example of the style. That brings the total score to 90 out of 100. Exceptionally high score there, and well-deserved. Just phenomenal beer. Moving on to number 2, this is the Lagunitas Dark Swan, the dark sour ale, 8.5% ABV. Speaking of Dark Swan, this was rather the Dark Swan of this group. It was the one outlier, but it was dark and big and bold, so I said, you know what, let's throw it in here and mix it up. We don't just need Imperial Stouts. Let's get something interesting in here, and this was indeed interesting. The aroma smelled great. I gave that a 9 out of 10. You could really pick up all of them all and the sour in there before it even hit your lips. It had a very pronounced nose. The taste on this one, I give it above average, 7 out of 10. The body was nice. Much thicker than your average sour, but it also is a lot more fermentables than your average sour. So 8 out of 10 there. Mouthfeel just 1 point lower, 7 out of 10. The finish was really nice and long and let you taste all the layers of complexity in there. You could pick out the malts, you could pick out the fruit, you could pick out the presumably Brettanomyces funk. It was really nice. Had 8 for the finish. The head, it was okay for a sour. Again, it was a heavier, darker, not on a tap, that many fermentables, but I gave it a high end of average, 6 out of 10. The appearance, this is where it really came in to its own on the scoring here. This was an absolutely lovely beer. It was a dark sour ale, so I expected it to be brown. I've had some brown sours and some closer to black that were sour, but this was just lovely from the fruit that they put in there. It had this pinkish, purplish hue to it, and it really was a beautiful beer. I gave that a perfect 10 out of 10. Balance, it was exceptionally well balanced, 8 out of 10 there. In the final 2 categories, my feeling and intangible score and the example of the style, I both gave above average 7s. Really good beer. If you're a fan of the sours or a fan of the dark sours, which are getting more common, but they're still rare in the sour scope, you might consider picking this one up. I did enjoy it, especially if you like sour with a little funk to it. This won't disappoint. 77 out of 100 is the final score. That moves on to our second Prairie Artisan Ale offering. That is the Christmas Bomb. Again, 13%. Again, an Imperial Stout. And just to reiterate a final time, I am pretty stinking sure that this is the same beer, just with some Christmas spices. And unsurprisingly, the score on this was literally identical to the non-Christmas version of the bomb. Same score in every category. I'll go through them again. Aroma 9, taste, body, mouthfeel 10, finish 9, head and retention 2. 10s in everything else. That's appearance, balance, my feeling and intangible category, and example of the style. So yet again, a total score of 90. Both of these beers are top notch. Really personal preference, which one you like more. It would be hard for me to pick a winner, but they're both fantastic beers. And then that brings me to my home city's home brewer here, hometown brew, Cigar City Brewing's Café Americano. This, again, another double or Imperial Stout if you prefer. 12% ABV on this one, another fantastic offering. The aroma and the taste, both I gave an 8 out of 10, well above average. The body and the mouthfeel on this one were huge. You saw me compare how it was to the Prairie Artisan, and you could see it. It was just equally as thick and just viscous, and no doubt about it. The body and the mouthfeel both got a perfect 10 out of 10. I was not surprised by that. The finish was an 8 out of 10 on this one. It was really nice. It was very long. It was very complex. I only wish that the vanilla came through a little more pronounced, but it was a really nice beer. The head and the retention, this did better than the two Prairie Artisan ales. I gave this an average with 5 out of 10. The appearance, just like with the Prairie's, perfect 10 out of 10. It was pitch black, just beautiful. You knew you were in for a treat before you even got to take the first sip. And then finally, 9s in the remaining 3 categories to round out. That's balance, the feeling, the intangibles, and as an example of the style. I really enjoyed this beer. Just all of these beers, what this episode was about was big, high ABV, in-your-face, bold beers, and none of these disappointed. I was thoroughly pleased with all of them. I had a lot of fun with this episode. These beers were all great, especially since 3 of the 4 I had never had prior. So it was really fun for me to sink my teeth in there, and absolutely enjoyed making this episode. I hope that you learned a little something today and that you took something away from this. Hopefully it was entertaining. Before I neglect, 86 out of 100 if you didn't tally up the scores yourself for the Cigar City Café Americano. But anyway, thanks as always. Really appreciate you tuning in. If you want to be in the loop for more upcoming beer reviews for beers out there in the marketplace, if you're just looking to see what maybe you want to try, see what's out there, we have weekly multiple videos dropping. So like and subscribe, click the notification bell. That'll keep you in the loop when our videos drop. If you have other fellow beer lovers that you think would enjoy this content, feel free to share it with them. The more the merrier. We just want to get the word out. We're passionate about craft beer, and that's why we're doing what we do. Hopefully you can take something away from this for the next time you go out and you're looking for that perfect craft. Maybe one of these that you watched sounds interesting to you, and you can find it in your local area. Until the next time though, folks, thanks as always. We'll see you on the next one. Keep it beer, keep it craft. Cheers.